Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call the Brawley City Council Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order this evening, Tuesday, May the 6th at 6 p.m. And can I have the roll call, please?
The minutes will reflect our council members present.
Okay, the invocation by Pastor Ted Curlick and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Mr. Donnie Wharton, please.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this evening that brings us together. We thank you for a council and a people who still choose to recognize you in their affairs. Thank you that within the last 48 hours, the Supreme Court of the United States of America said this is good to open council meetings with a word of prayer because this is part of the American heritage and the American tradition. For that, we're grateful and we give praise and honor and glory to you. You have told us in your word that if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men liberally and withholds not. And tonight a lot of business will be done in this room. Would you give your wisdom? There'll be many opinions, many ideas. Pray that your mind might be known, your will would be accomplished here, and thank you for these good civic servants who give of themselves to help our community. Encourage them, let them know they're doing a good job, and we appreciate them. And Lord God, we are sure that you appreciate them too. We pray these things and say amen.
Amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge of our great flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Mr. Wharton. And we'll move on to the next. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. And is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented or any changes?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The next item is public appearance and comments, and this is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. And if there's someone from the public would like to come up, this is the time to do so.
Good evening, council members. My name is Rick Partridge. I live at 806 Kindig Avenue in Brawley. And the reason why I want to bring up something is there's a stop sign at 806 right there at Emma and Kindig. And it doesn't matter what time of day it is, especially early in the morning when kids are going to school, people are running that stop sign. And I'm not saying that, California stop is more than a California stop. They're running it. Anywhere between 5 to 15 miles an hour. And it doesn't matter what time of day. So I just want to bring it up, make the council aware of it. Like I said, it's at the corner of Kindig and Emmer. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your information.
Mr. Partridge, for your comment, you will receive a proclamation. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Is the chief from the Border Patrol here this evening? Chief from the Border Patrol? Roy? Is there anyone else?
Oh,
there he is. Not a problem, sir. Mike on this side over here. Perfect timing. That's right.
Again, I apologize for running late. Good afternoon. My name is Roy Fiadel. I'm the acting chief of the El Centro sector. On May 28th, we're going to celebrate the 90th anniversary of the Border Patrol. And so the purpose of me being here today is to extend an invitation to the chief and the city council. We'd like you to come out and celebrate our 90th anniversary, partake in the festivities, and learn a little bit of our tradition and our honors. And so here's my official invitation. Mayor, I don't know if I can pass this to the council. And also, I apologize. I'm walking this uninformed, and I don't know if this is the right venue for it. But I'd also like to ask on behalf of the United States Border Patrol if the city of Brawley would consider passing a proclamation making May 28th Border Patrol Day or something to acknowledge our anniversary.
We'll be glad to do that, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad you're here this evening, and you were just right in time. So
okay.
And we appreciate the work that you guys do.
Thank you, sir.
We really do. Are there any comments from council?
Chief, thank you for your service and all your troops.
Thank you.
Again, I think it's, thank God there's television and reality shows now that really show the rest of the world what you guys do day in and day out. But never to be underscored is a dangerous job, and we appreciate what the men and women do.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll pass that on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Excuse myself.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public like to come up?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Jason Zara with Brawley Chamber of Commerce. And surprisingly enough, I wanted to remind you that our final farmers market of the season is coming up this Saturday. We once again have well over 50 vendors. It's looking like it's going to be a really good lineup. We've been working with the city staff closely to have the fire trucks come out and provide some water fun for the kids to alleviate the heat a little bit. And we hopefully we'll have a really good final event for the season, and we're very much looking forward to it. And as always, we'd like to thank you and staff for all of your support and assistance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jay, I want to say thank you for the effort that the Chamber has put on. The farmers market has been really enjoying, and I think this last one's going to be fun to give the kids a little refreshment, and we'll have a little fun and enjoy the day.
Should be a good time. And just for the public, that's going to be at 2 o'clock on the north end of South Plaza Park. So it'll be toward the northern end of the farmers market, but it's going to go for about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how long we can stretch out the water. So,
Comments for Jay Lee.
thank you.
Jason, if you don't mind also, and planning's already underway for next season, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Everyone just on a need note. And produce prices might be rising, so this is a great place to find some great values, too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to come up? Okay, and then if not, we'll move on to the next item, which is the proclamation declaring May 2014 as Veteran Appreciation Month, presented to Richard Partridge.
Right there.
Yeah. Let me read this, Richard, and then we'll come down and shake hands and take a picture with you. Whereas the people of Imperial Valley appreciate and admire the thousands of men and women who serve in the armed forces to protect, preserve their community, the country, and the freedom enjoyed by all Americans. And whereas we're international conflicts and peacekeeping missions, men and women have been wounded, taken as prisoners, and died in the line of duty. Whereas veteran poses a wide variety of valuable qualities, including experience, maturity, leadership, loyalty, that make them ideal candidates for employment. And whereas the City of Brawley committed to ensuring that veterans receive the services and programs to which they are entitled, and to promoting employer interest in hiring veterans. And whereas during Veterans Appreciation Month, state and local agencies increase employer awareness about the benefit of hiring veterans, and now for the City of Brawley does hereby proclaim May 2014 as Veteran Appreciation Month in the City of Brawley.
And while you're walking down, I'd have to say, today they had an appreciation lunch for all the veterans there in Imperial, and Lee Corsalino was, of course, the master of ceremonies, and he did a good job. We also had Imagine School Color Guard there, and they did a presentation, and they're from 5 years to 13 years old, and they were the cutest things, and they were very well-mannered, very well, you think they were in the Army, not Navy, Army. Also, they did some presentations from the offices of our congressmen and our assemblymen, and there was plenty of veterans there, and I have to say they were very well honored and they were very well fed. They got to go back 2 or 3 times to eat, and the food was great, and I want to thank you for all you do for the veterans, you being yourself one.
We'll keep you there all day.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is introduction of a Brawley firefighter, Thomas San Roman, and Chief Peraza.
Thank you, Your Honorable Mayor, City Council, Chuck Peraza, Fire Chief. I want to introduce you to our new firefighter, Thomas San Ramon. Thomas is a Brawley resident and a graduate from Brawley Union High School. He graduated in 2007. Actually, Thomas became affiliated with our department through our Fire Explorer program at the early age of 16. So he's been around quite a few years to be affiliated with our department. Well, actually, he just graduated. So Thomas started working for the city of Brawley as a call-paid firefighter in January of 2009. Since then, Thomas attended IBC Fire Academy, which he completed and graduated in 2011. And since the opening of our fire station number 2 back in May of 2012, he has been assigned a regular shift schedule and has performed very well. And he's very mature, and his professionalism is very, very well to us, and we really appreciate that. He has been proactive in obtaining numerous certificates throughout the fire service, and he is currently EMT certified, which he went through the National Registry and obtained. And he also has a second job, which I don't know if you're still employed or not, Thomas, but he actually works in El Centro Regional in the ER. So what he is bringing into our department is not only the pre-hospital field care, patient care, but he sees the post-care. So he really is going to be an asset into our department. He's going to be able to give us our viewpoints of what our patient care is bringing into the ER. And so I've actually assigned him to a steering committee, which he's fully accepted. So with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Thomas San Ramon as our new firefighter for the city of Brawley.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I've been here all my life pretty much, and I'm just glad to be supporting my community in this manner. So thank you very much.
Happy to have you on board.
Nice.
Thank you, Thomas. Good job.
Okay, congratulations.
My son's name is Thomas.
That's a good news. Very good. Congratulations.
They are.
Want to get a picture up there?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it.
His uncle was my uncle, 90, the one that just died, 99 years old. He was his great uncle, I should say.
We're lucky.
Jessica. Yeah.
Three, two, one. Get your look this way.
Very nice. Yeah. Very good. All right.
You know.
Yeah. Bye. You're welcome. Very proud of you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items to be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. And if there are no changes, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and before I move on to the next item, I would like to invite up Mr. Denny to come up and say a few words on the Point of Wretch project that's been approved for the city.
Mayor Camel, Councilman Nava, Councilman Sam, new Councilman Wharton, and Noriega.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me a moment or two. I just sort of feel like tonight I had a little throat problem. Tonight is a great night in the lives of many of us here, because in an effort to stay alive and keep our activities going, and hopefully Brawley's. They have driven from Colorado, Arizona, and other points close by. Most of these people have great relationships with the city of Brawley. Many were born here. They're one of the dads, the dad of their land to start with, Ray Jameson, and his partner, Al Smith. Both of those men are deceased. The land that was passed down to one of the sons, he passed away in January and didn't get to see this come about. And I know that there are times you wondered why we even got involved. But we really believe that to be lucky, one has to prepare to be lucky. And you have made it possible for us to be prepared and in turn have the city be prepared that should someone see that corner out there as a place to be, we are prepared. It's taken us 7 years. We're a little slow, but it's been a long time. And I think the thing that you should be proud of as a council, we have dealt with your individuals, some 4 city managers. And I might say, thank goodness we ended up with Mrs. Moore, because the continuity that is necessary in what we've done makes it all worthwhile. And then one of your employees, Mr. Geist, he and I have worked together side by side for this long period of time. And never has he misled us, laying it on the line what we had to do. And Gordon, I'd like to thank you. Sometimes they don't get recognized. But you've got a man that treated us, and being a former mayor, being a former county commissioner, you can see that I think I recognize somebody that's so valuable. I'd give him an award if I had one to give to him tonight for doing what he's done. I would like to just take a minute, and I promised that I would only take 3 minutes, Mayor, and I've had 20 seconds already. Seriously speaking, if I may, and would you please, Al Smith was one of the original in this. And Al sold his business, or his property, to Mr. LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc is out at Klamath Store. We know that his letter to all of you and to your kids, stating that you had free access for the rest of your life, that sort of helped. Gene, would you and your wife please stand, please? Gene is, he's bumping the 90s, and he's trying to outlive me, but they came tonight to let you know that they too have appreciated the association we've had with you. Then, if I may, thank you, Gene, one of the landowners passed away in January. And he was one of the originals, Gerald Jameson, the son of the father of the activity, Ray. And I'd like to ask his spouse, Sandra, please stand. She's heard this other end of the telephone conversation for 7 years, not knowing what was on this end of the conversation. And her 2 sons, Jim of Phoenix, Arizona, and John of Greeley, Colorado. Thank you. One of the other original landowners is Diane Jameson Denny, my wife, if you will. And she is the daughter of Ray. Ray's wife is 91 years old. She could not make the trip. She lives in Lamar, Colorado. She is still an active person that... So you see, we're all right there on the edge, and you're wondering, why are you guys wanting to sell? Well, we can't take it with us, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. And to George Garcia, a man that started us out in '07 and stuck with us for being with us, and he is our engineer at DD&E. And George, we've appreciated the efforts that you have. Now, I have been asked by Mrs. Moore, so I don't want to belabor this, but this was about $375 that Gordon said had to be done. And I don't know, but I'm supposed to read this to you tonight. And I would quickly, of course, if the mayor says enough's enough. Anyway, here's the EIR, and this makes you ready and makes us ready to be lucky. And that's what it amounts to. We are ready to be lucky. And I watched your attitude. I've read the stories coming out of him, his story, his newspaper. I've been following those on National Beef. And I personally want to thank you for breaking precedent. Doing things that, no, you can't do it, but you did it. And you tried your best to make things happen to keep them here. And that takes a little guts to do that, and you did. And Mr. Wharton and Mr. Nova and one of our great friends who is working land with us were involved with that. And how little sometimes do people realize the effort that goes with. You didn't lose. You didn't lose, because it showed me that what if I was in that position? Would you be there for me? And we can only promise the best we know how to promise. And we haven't lied to you yet, no matter what Stuart Title said. We got that straightened out, didn't we, Mayor? So we haven't, but that is something that we just want you to know. We don't want it to end up any other way than either the commercial, and if it takes us to get that done, and then we go back to the manufactured homes, and then go to low income or whatever, it's there. And we're not going to have a bunch of dirt. We've got the greatest farmer we've ever known in Paul Cameron. He's been there for nearly 15 years. So we've got people like you that are still part of the land. And I was just talking to Councilman Noriega. You might have to change those signs around a little bit now and get those outside town. You know, when it comes time for election time, we might start charging out there on the fence. Are there any questions?
No. Mr. Denny, I want to thank you for coming up, and I want to thank you guys for being patient. Between you guys and all the parties involved and our staff, you guys done things the right way. I'm part of LAFCO. I'm a LAFCO commissioner. And when that came to LAFCO, it took about 20 seconds or so to get this project approved. You guys were there in the audience and witnessed that. And by doing things the right way and doing it right, there's no hang-ups. And I think you and staff and Gordon and everybody did what they're supposed to do. We got the tax sharing agreement done, and everything's in place. So you're right. We're ready to go, and we appreciate it.
It only took 7 years.
It took 7 years, Em. Anyone else have any?
And $375,000.
Well, actually, believe it or not, it's about $450,000.
Yes.
So it's not. It wasn't, and that was. There were no grant money in that, by the way. And but yet, if we come to the table tonight with $100,000, you know, that's going to help somebody. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe in the projects downtown, maybe it's somebody else. But $100,000 might help get things kicked loose, and we can say we've been a part. I hope that you can feel that we have tried to be right in your game with you. And I would be, excuse me, sir.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm through.
Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just going to introduce the gentleman that's on the other side of the property, he's over on in the cheap seats on the east side of town. So before I do that to Mr. Porter, because we will be separating soon. We've been in this together to get this thing done, and pretty soon it will be the Rancho, then it will be the Brandt, and then it will be the Porters. So we may all go different ways within the ballpark that you have set up. Yes, sir.
I was just afraid that you weren't going to recognize the Porters, and I wanted to make sure that they did get recognition.
Well,
they are the ones that have talked to me a long time about this project. I see, and I think for the public, we should tell them that it's the 111 highway, the new 111 bypass Highway 78 corner all the way back to Wildcat. And so all of that property in that area is what we're talking about. And I think all of us on the council saw the potential for that in terms of economic development for the city of Brawley. It's a long-term potential, I think, because it's going to take some time for it to pan out. But I think we all saw the potential and we all saw the value in an annexation of that property into the city of Brawley. And I think I want to just make sure everybody understands that it's the Porters and all of you, but the Porters particularly that talked to me and that really emphasized how important that was to everyone here and also to the city of Brawley. And I wanted to make sure that we recognize that. And I think we all pushed for this, and I think it's a good annexation, and it sounds like it's taken us a long time to get to that point. But I think that now is the time, and I think you'll see some development along the bypass in that area for the city of Brawley, and it'll be valuable. Just wonder.
Well, they say on the economic scene just 2 weeks ago that China will not be the major area of exportation out of the United States. It's going to be Mexico. That's what they're predicting, not my words. So that has to put traffic right next to your door. Okay, thank you. And again, thank you, Mrs. Moore. I appreciate the guidance that you've given to the people that are with you and you're associated with here.
Mr. Denny, thank you. And
thank you.
If anybody else want to come up, we got a minute. You guys.
Chuck sort of filibustered this, so he said everything that we wanted to say. Just to show our appreciation to all of you. And like Sam said, I've been talking personally with a lot of you, and you've been extremely helpful. And I didn't really think the way Chuck had it lined out, the Denny group, the Brandt, and then the Porters, I think we ought to have first billing. No, just joking. But anyway, thank you again very much. And I want to note that my family moved here in 1908. So we didn't even hardly have electricity then. And I worked at the same place you did for 37 years.
Yes, I'm still there.
and my father knew Red Porter, so for many years. So
we're all very close, really. So I appreciate it again. You've taken up enough of your time, but we really wanted to let you know both sides of it, and we really appreciate this. So, and we'll be staying in touch. I've received a lot of communication, so I hope to be talking with Rosanna shortly. So, again, thank you very much.
I want to say thank you to you guys, and those of you that have traveled, we wish you guys mercy and safe travel back home, and that everybody gets home safe, okay?
Congratulations and good luck.
Yeah. And will you excuse our group? Some of us are going back home.
Yes, sir.
We would not want to be disrespectful to the rest of the meeting, and to you, if you people will excuse us.
Thank you, Mr. Denny.
We got a free ride out of town.
They just came from Colorado. I came all the way from Texas.
That's what he didn't say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Bye-bye.
I haven't seen him in years. Mr. Porter was my husband's supervisor.
Was he?
Yes.
Go down, Mr. Mayor. That's good.
I don't know if I want to stand next to Mr. Denny. He won't take me back to Colorado.
Come on in. We're all in group. Y'all have to stand up. We're up there in the grill.
Everybody could look at me.
Thank you.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. You knew my stepbrother Jimmy. You knew my stepbrother Jimmy. I've met you before. How are you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Have a good one. Congratulations.
Congratulations. See you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. And she was my boss at DMV.
Yes, a little bit.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is under regular business. Item number 4A, presentation by Rosemary Wood, Executive Director of North County Coalition of Arts, and Mr. Jay Kruger, Director of Digital and Visual Arts, the establishment of Arts District in the downtown area of Brawley. And the place is you guys.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for having us. I'm so excited to actually be presenting. I believe we have a PowerPoint that would be okay.
You have a mouse on your to the right of your microphone, and you're right in the center of the monitor there.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to actually start with Jay. I'm going to have him present, and I will close.
Okay. Closer.
Yes.
Good evening.
You'd like me to
Jay?
give you the presentation right there?
And you think I could?
Jay said thank you.
Okay, if Sam won't make fun of me while I'm doing this, I'll be in good shape.
You have my promise.
I want to thank you all for allowing us to be on the agenda. I am the Director of Visual and Digital Arts, which means that I have the ability to screw up a PowerPoint pretty well. So, this is primarily a touch base with you about our proposed Brawley Arts District. It worked fine this morning.
There you go.
It worked fine yesterday and the day before. What is an arts district? Well, arts district is a particular urban area, usually downtown. It's intended to create a place of cultural consumption, so for art galleries, theaters, cinemas, music venues, public squares for performances. And such an area is sometimes encouraged by public policy making. Sometimes cities will put them into their general plan early on, especially large towns, Phoenix, San Francisco, Texas. The one that I have experience working with is in Oklahoma City. And in the 60s, it was basically a bunch of what us old guys refer to as head shops, and it has now become a very, very exclusive arts district. Sometimes it occurs spontaneously, and that's kind of what this is. One day, what happened here was it just popped into some people's head and thought, well, it'd be a really great idea. Sometimes it's associated with allied service jobs like cafes, printers, fashion outlets, which I don't see that happening, restaurants, and cultural events. We quoted this from someone else. The proposed area for this is 1st Street to Cesar Chavez on the east and west, and the north and south D to G. This proposed area is based on downtown economic needs as far as NOCA. The kind of the drive around that we did, we thought this would be a good area, but this is flexible, and would be happy to talk to staff about changing the streets, changing the area. The idea is just to get it in front of you and to let you know what we're trying to do. This is an overlay of the particular area. Thanks. I'd rather have a vodka martini, but I'll wait. Thank you. Usually in a town this size, this is a pretty healthy chunk of the downtown. And the reason we picked this particular part of the downtown is because it was most affected by fires. And we thought that
helping the economy of the downtown by trying to bring the arts in, along with, of course, the Chamber of Commerce is working diligently to do its part with commerce. We're trying to do the same thing with the arts. We were all here for the fires, and it certainly affected me because there were a lot of things that could have been done downtown more than just empty buildings. The benefits of the district are to promote revitalization of the downtown, obviously, to promote civic involvement in the arts. At this point, I want to thank the mayor for donating a really nice piece of art that's right outside the door here. It's a lovely black and white pen and ink, or a pencil. It's actually a pencil drawing. And that's the first move to art. You're doing really good. Just keep it up. To promote artistic abilities of local and valley-wide craftsmen and artists. We also, to establish a specific area to focus on the arts with regard to grant applications and private funding. If you have an arts district, when you fill out a funding applications, you say, well, the city has designated this as an arts district, and it gives you a little more clout, a little something else to put on there. And also, I've participated in several of the walkable community charrettes, and to promote the walkable city concept with arts festivals, street events, which many of you here have been involved in, especially recently, music performances, and related art-based projects. People don't like you shooting pictures inside of art galleries. This is the best graphic I could come up with. We could use an art gallery here. There's also availability of different buildings for studios and workshops, for photographers, filmmakers, craftsmen, potters, weavers. There's a lot of weaving going on in the valley. That's
what are they taking pictures of there? I see like a teddy bear paw. What is that?
That's a film my daughter worked on, and I'd rather not discuss it. That's my daughter, her husband. She's the director, and he's the cinematographer. And we'll go on to the next slide. Took first place in a film thing. The arts and culture communities are serving cities in many beneficial ways. They continue to contribute to urban revitalization, economic development, and artist centers. They provide cities with better quality of life and allow them to brand themselves as creative and cultured in order to attract new residents and encourage new businesses. With minimal or no financial incentives for these districts, local governments are getting quite a bargain. We're not asking for money. We just need a little map with a little box on it from you. We'd like Brawley to be a destination for artists. It's a destination for cowboys, at least once a year. It's a destination for people who like wressling, at least a couple of times a year, and people who like to go to really nice farmers markets, second Tuesday of every month, or at least the months that they have it. The Brawley Playhouse Theater, we like to think of as kind of the cornerstone of the start of the arts movement in the downtown area. We have a lot of plans for that. We have worked closely with the city, and they have gone, staff has bent over backwards to help us. We're very, very, very lucky to have a great group of people within the city who have helped us put this together. The Brawley Community Foundation, which I'm also on the board of, helped fund the front of this and putting this together. The area that this is in will benefit the plaza probably the most for a while, but that's again is where a lot of the fires were. There's a process which I'll let Rosemary discuss. I forgot, I was going to call her Roseanne for just a second. If you would like to discuss it, just come on up. but I'll let her talk about that.
What NOCA is proposing is that first, proclaiming the outlining areas after getting together with groups and arts district. NOCA team will provide contact with local business to support for the arts district. The NOCA team will work with the city staff to blend the arts district with general plan if required. We will promote the arts and arts-related retailers to move into the proposed area and continue with the mural projects in the areas. And we'll work with all organizations promoting the arts district. And what I'd like to also mention in this process is we've already begun building communications between owners, property owners, new businesses. One is here. Can I mention him? Ray, Mr. Babb. We are also on the steering committee and on the committee for the Brawley Theater, Playhouse Theater. And so we are working to work together. Also the chamber, sorry, where's Jason? There we go. Together and not be exclusive, but be inclusive. And our biggest sell point, hopefully, is that we do, as I hear we've purchased new property, we do have growth on the outlines of our beautiful city, but I would love to see that the downtown area come back to life and have a destination for our citizens. And I think the Arts District is exactly what we need to have. And I think, since I'm really not good at this, that is the end of our presentation. So any questions?
We're excited.
Yay!
We want to see this happen. Any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
You know, I'm excited about it just because we need something to push things forward in downtown. And I think this is a good opportunity to do that. You have the theater that's being constructed or renovated, I should say. You have Mr. Babb, his business that is going up in a area that had been damaged by fire. And so I think that's a great start to hopefully getting other businesses and organizations out there. So I think it's great. I support it. I do have some questions with respect to other designations. If we were to designate it a arts district, would it affect other designations in the future, as an example, a downtown business district or anything else?
No, that's the beauty of an arts district.
Okay.
It actually complements other districts and other, like in the, was it Enterprise Zone?
Sure.
Or the
And that's
downtown,
going
right,
away,
it
right?
does not. It actually enhances the entire area. So it could overlap.
Sure, I can see that being a benefit for everybody.
Yes.
I like the idea. I really do. I think that it's a great start. I mean, I've had ideas, and a lot of people have, not
Right.
just myself, but, you know, and I like bouncing ideas off of people. And one thing I thought about many years back was having, you know, we had furniture stores at the time. Unfortunately, we don't now, but having sort of a furniture row in Brawley or having a restaurant row.
Right.
But this is, you know, focusing on arts, I think, is fantastic. Then we saw some of the artwork that some of the local artists, young artists, made recently, and then I'm part of the film commission, and certainly there's a lot of work that gets done locally that I think is fantastic. So I think it's a good move. I'm supportive of it.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
My comment.
I'm very excited.
And I have to add to that I've been asked, hey, we haven't seen very much move downtown. And I said, well, NOCA has some great ideas. They're coming up to our council meeting this next Tuesday, I said, and they'll be presenting. And if you either watch the TV or read the newspapers, I said, you will hear some of the ideas that they're bringing forth. And I said, I'm very excited about it. I had talked to you and Jay about it. So, and I had told the council, I'm very excited. I can't wait for it to really start going. And there's a lot of people behind us and behind you. So that's really good.
I do want to mention, since you said a lot of people, there is a new committee that we have, and I'm really excited to present. It's Friends of NOCA, the Under 40 group. And I have to say, they're the loudest. They're the ones that have been saying they want this the most. They really, really do. And it's building so quickly. I've been meeting one after the other, lunch here and there. And so I do want to let you know that we have a great support, not only from our 17 years of, we have a wonderful donor base, and the more elder supporters are also very much supportive of this idea. And I just think it's just something that will bring us all together. It's all inclusive. There is nothing that I could not turn into a reason why it's the arts. So
I would imagine the designation would make it easier to apply for grant funding and other things, right?
Yes, yes. And that's a big part of us wanting to be a part of moving forward with the Brawley Arts District, because we can write brick and mortar grants, we can write promotional grants, we can write grants to help with Main Street, whether it's garbage cans, new garbage cans, help with parking. There are a lot of grants, especially private foundations.
Oh.
Especially private foundations that really want us to write for grants. We are in a great position to be writing for grants. So.
And Rosemary's really good at writing grants, so
yes,
she will do us some very good justice. And also to tell you, Roseanne and the rest of the council, we are going to be bringing in, we want you to be part of it, getting the art from the students from the high school.
Yes.
And we're going to have some small contest, and every month we want to put up a few of their paintings on our walls here, so you can help us do that.
That would be great, yes.
Okay.
I'll squeeze in a quick comment because everyone has. But Rosemary, I want to thank you for stepping in. I know you're filling big shoes. Again, 17 years in NOCA, but you've been there along with Jay, stepping up. There's many people behind you, but I'm particularly excited. I think timing-wise, as we're moving forward, these seem like baby steps, but they're really big steps. This is really a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, not only here on council. I want to make a point. We're working on a new mission statement for the city. We're working on some mission and vision statement, as well as core values, and I think this will be a great integration into that in an area of emphasis. Because I think Jay in his presentation hit at destination.
No.
There's absolutely something that we can identify ourselves with, not just the rodeo. We have a lot to offer here. This is a huge step, I think,
There's
in the right
a lot
direction.
of talent here. I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a huge amount of talent. I just went to the 51st Congressional District Art. There's a lot of talent, visually and performing, and I think we underestimate. And so this is the time to showcase. Arts is definitely in an upswing for the Valley, and I think Brawley has a very unique opportunity. And I'm so excited that you're excited, and I am willing and able to get this moving forward. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Bab, would you like to come up and say a few words?
He made me promise to give him the first sticker.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting us last week in our project, and our project kind of floats into a downtown arts district, and we want to be the beginning as you're turning into the plaza with something beautiful in the downtown area, and we are building a big stage that we've talked about. So we will have a downtown venue, and we're excited about it, and we're thankful that you guys are as well.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public like to come up and?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I'm very supportive of the Arts District. And at one time, we did have some art shows in the plaza area. That's been quite a few years ago, but I remember them distinctly because I attended all of those and was at there as just a person looking at those. And I think we could bring some of that back, and I think that would be a good thing, both showcasing local artists, but they showcased also out-of-town artists that came into town, and it might be an opportunity to market some of the areas in the downtown area. So I think we have a history of some of that happening in the downtown area, and I remember the downtown area as a child, and I would like to see it come back in some way and look like it did then, or at least look presentable. And I think it has its struggles, and I think we can do something with it. And I think with your help and with the community's support, I think we have a much better chance of doing something about that. So
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, look, a few years back when we had the fires and we had the relinquishment of Main Street back to the city of Brawley, we started an event, taking back Main Street, and that got kicked off, and I think it was very successful. And other events started going down there. And so this is just the next step into that. And I think if you don't do something, no one will, right? And so it's like, I'm glad to see that things are building. There's momentum. Mr. Babb has his investment out there, which is several $100,000 out in one corner of Brawley. I'm happy to see it. I really am excited about it, and I think that once things take off, it just attracts attention, and other people want to take part in it. So that's fantastic.
I agreed. I wanted to address the arts festivals I think you talked about. There really wasn't an entity in place to help that, to help those people, and what they wanted was more time on Main Street, because you have to have a certain amount of time to make your money back for the booth that you rented.
Right.
And one day or a day and a half was not enough. But that's something that NOCA knows about and will work with the city on trying to get those back, because that's very important. A good arts festival brings a lot of stuff here.
And it can become a destination for people to come. They may not come the first day, but they'll come the second or the third day. And so you're right, it does take time to sell whatever they're...
Car shows, but we've been involved in those out at the hospital, motorcycle shows. There is art to cars, there is art to motorcycles. The guitar show, there was art to guitars, at least to mine. And but I appreciate your input about that, and I hope you'll consider making us an art district with some modifications if you'd like.
And also the farmers market, when we first started out, Jason brought in, there was a few people selling. Now you've got 50. I forget what you had the first day and the second day, but what did you start with? Yeah, so now you're up to 50. So it just takes time, it took 6 months, but we're there, and now for the next time it starts up again, he knows who he can call on and stuff. So art.
I also believe
believe
that our control of Main Street allows us to do a little bit more than they could do back in 30 years ago. And so I think that there's some benefits to that, and being able to do that and not have to depend upon dealing with Caltrans for the Main Street area. And we can kind of, as we've seen from the events that we've been having, I think that flexibility gives us an opportunity to do a lot more in that downtown plaza area, and also even into the downtown area.
Mr. Mayor, I had one last question here. With respect to your, it is a presentation today, but for future consideration, you're asking for just a proclamation from the city? Is that it? That's all you need?
That's all we need.
Okay.
Is a proclamation stating that this is an arts destination, it's an arts district. And as we progress in a committee and a community committee, we can look at different ordinances, and that would be administrative.
Sure.
I want to also extend my gratitude to Rosanna, Mrs. Moore, sorry, for her, she is, there is no words I can describe, but she is extremely professional and encouraging and very helpful in helping us put this together. And she's such a huge resource. And so I think we are all blessed to have her here. So thank you so much.
We appreciate the comment as well. Thank you.
And I think a lot of this can be done administratively as we progress. But I do think that a great start will be a proclamation, and we can work on an MOU on how you would like to see NOCA.
If there is specific language and you can address that or send it over to our city manager,
correct.
I think that would be a good start. And
Yes, we
Mr. Mayor, put it on a future agenda?
Yes.
Or one of the summer months sometime soon?
Yes. Yes.
We'll put it on the agenda and get it done.
Thank you so much. I'm holding back my enthusiasm. Trust me. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you guys very much. Okay. The next item on the agenda is item 4B, discussion and potential direction regarding Allied Waste Republic Service Letter of Recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, this item was requested by our Mayor Pro Tem, George Nava. He has received a request and thought it appropriate, and I agree, to be placed on a council agenda for discussion.
Sure. And I did get a request from Republic Services, just in respect to the relationship that we've had with Allied Services, Republic Services. I'm not opposed. It doesn't necessarily have to be a letter of recommendation, but just of reference and the participation that they've had with us, not only on a professional level, but on the events that they've helped us with and those sorts of things. The reason they asked for that is when they're approaching other municipalities, just so they can have a letter of reference of the type of work and the type of working relationship they've had with other municipalities. So I wanted to bring this before you. I am in support of that, and again, it doesn't have to be a letter of recommendation, but certainly one of reference where we've had a longer relationship and sort of a historic just a representation of what they've done with us.
They're very much involved in our city, helping with dumpsters, with the parks, and all kind of activities. So,
and just the, all the outreach they've done, those sorts of.
I can totally support that.
Do we need a motion? The mayor will sign that letter.
I would be happy to work with our city attorney on restating in a manner that's appropriate, just as described, the types of services. I think the term associated with the franchise agreement is an example in and of itself as to the type of arrangement the city was willing to enter into, and we can reference the addition of street sweeping services and then talk about their community support, the specific examples of what they've done.
That will work. I think that's not really a letter of recommendation.
It's
more a statement of
reference.
facts.
Right.
Because it only says direction, it doesn't
And we can make a motion to, that way we make,
direction, or do we need a motion?
Well, it's a discussion of potential direction.
Yeah.
I would just make a motion to direct the city manager to draft a letter of reference for Republic Services.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Wait, Dennis has.
I can wait for the second.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I concur with the direction you're going with this. However unlikely any legal issues associated with this, you see it more often in the area of human resources, where when the city receives inquiry about they're encouraged to just provide sort of information.
Right.
That is, in this case, it would be those things that are a matter of
public record,
franchise agreement, streets.
And they can interpret that however they'd like. For example, I mean, we did offer an extension to Republic Services. They can make whatever use they do of that. But it's just factual information. Yeah.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 4C, review and potential action regarding city council meeting date change from May the 20th, 2014 to May the 27th, 2014.
Mayor Campbell, this request was made at our last council meeting in light of the ICSC conference that's scheduled for the May 20th date. It is noted that when we first published our budget schedule, we referenced the May 20th 5 to 7 p.m. window. So the one item that we're seeking clarification as staff is, do you wish for this new meeting date of the 27th to start at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., whatever is your preference?
Why were we starting at 5 because it's a budget discussion?
Remember we published our schedule well in advance of starting our budget. It's simply a preference call on your part. Do you wish to maintain the 5 to 7 p.m. or our normal meeting time of 6 p.m.?
We're still going to have the budget discussion, right?
Right.
So let's 5.
Yes.
That's fine.
5 is
So, is there a motion to change the meeting from May the 20th to May the 27th, starting at 5 p.m.?
Mr. Mayor, I would make that request based on the fact that Councilmember Wharton and myself will be out that day attending business on city business, right? And so I'd make a motion to change from May 20th to May 27th, starting at 5 p.m.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Since we have extended, can we have the paperwork on Thursday instead of Friday? Since we've just extended it a little longer. Is that possible? Thank you.
I think that would be good because we have a holiday on that Monday. So if the sooner we can get that, the better. I mean, hopefully.
Okay, so we'll just note it for the record that the meeting will be 5 p.m. instead of 6, and the date changed from the 20th to the 27th. Okay, the next item on the agenda is review and acknowledge of employee travel exceeding 500 miles.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Ruby Walla, Finance Director. The item before you tonight is for travel. Travel actually within two departments, in Police Department and Public Works, 2 employees in each department. Finance staff did an internal audit of travel requests, and we came across 4 travels that were processed beyond the $500-mile limit per council action back in 2008. So tonight we're bringing them to you for your review and your approval of an acknowledgement that the travel, of course, they did take place, but they did fall within that 500-mile boundary.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor, if I could ask it.
Yes, sir.
With respect, and I remember the issue back several years, but with respect to the 500-mile travel span, how are we identifying that in the request? We're not? Is that why it's slipping through that crack?
Yes. What it seems to be is, the travel goes, they submit the request, it goes to a department head. It comes to finance for approval. May it be the city manager or where it may be the department head themselves, depending on the type of travel. And then it comes through our accounts payable department. They review, and there's nothing on our form really stating exceeds 500 miles, the type of mileage, other than if they're requesting mileage reimbursement. In the case where we have police department identified, primarily they don't incur mileage reimbursement, or we don't document that, more particularly in police, because they take their own vehicles. The city vehicles.
The form that we have, is it a form we've generated ourselves?
Yes,
Can
and
we just add that question? Is
right.
it beyond 500 miles?
Yeah, we can add that, and it's a form that we've usually have brought to council before, and we amend it annually when the mileage rate changes or updated.
Right.
But yeah, we can add that.
Just so we can ask the question yes or no, and then,
Yeah, and I think that would help as far as department head or staff or supervisors reviewing the travel requests, because sometimes it just comes through as and some of them, if they're in Sacramento, we just had one, like if they're league. Sometimes, as you know, many of the travels, they hold one Southern California and then Northern California, and they switch between years. So one year you may need approval, and one's close by where it wasn't an issue. And so we've had some, of course, transition in staff as well, and get them more familiar from a policy that was approved in 2008 to now. Sometimes when we've had those little issues like that.
And looking at the training, it was valid, and I think it's just a fact of bringing it to council for our knowledge.
I think it's just one of process, if we're amending the process to make sure that we're not capturing them just in the audits. And then the other thing, just for my information, because I'm not familiar with this internal policy, but that's 500 one way.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct. It's not a round trip. Understood. It's just a 500 one way.
Part of it, though, was to identify when people were traveling and to make sure, we don't get it after the fact. That's a big deal. But,
right.
And it also keeps us informed as to who's doing what, where the training's taking place, and those sorts of things. So it keeps us in the loop, so to speak. But
not being totally familiar with our policy, do we ascertain when people are traveling, maybe this is a question I'll have to research, I don't know, but do we ascertain what's the least expensive way to get to a location, and do department heads analyze that on an ongoing basis? Say I want to drive to Sacramento, but it's cheaper to fly. Are we reimbursing for that drive to Sacramento, say in my personal car, or are we, and I haven't traveled that far, or do we pay at a flight and rental car issue, or how do we handle that? Is that part of our policy?
Again, with the budget process, we're given a travel training budget, and the department heads are responsible for living within their means of their specified budget. And that's what we do, go through extensive discussions, as I've been a part of budgets, travel and training, is it enough, how many, what does it account for, and so forth. In terms, they do, I can tell you on my point, we don't have an established policy that they, analyze. Is it better to catch a flight? And I know that some department heads do look at, is it cheaper to fly from Imperial, to Sacramento, and things like. I know there are staff that do that to. They assess that, or if it is that they take a vehicle. So we do have but it's all set.
I think
But
the
there's
department
no.
heads do a pretty good job in watching it. I mean, we just...
Just wondered if we had it as a part of our overall policy or if we didn't. It's kind of up to the individual department heads to analyze.
Yes, and I can honestly say from review and discussion with department head, because when I come across these requests and I review with them, they have discussed, that they do take into consideration other measures as far as when they're traveling. We do watch on my side for staff for auditing purposes. We look at per diems. We don't pay any more than per diem amount. Even if it's out-of-pocket costs, we only pay up to the per diem amount. We verify the mileage rates. We verify that receipts are attached. If necessary, they audit hotel bills as well, travel expenses when they start. So it's extensive, but but I can just say that they do. I know that they do review and they live within their budget. I haven't seen any extensive spending in travel and training budgets as well.
If I might offer a comment to council, it is when we have an error, we see the obligation to come in and inform you. And so this is a correction. And we have done an internal review, and I want to express my gratitude to finance. Sometimes we have to deliver bad news to our departments that, hey, you've crossed a line that cannot be crossed. It is 99.9% of the time not on purpose with bad intent.
Yeah.
But in this instance, it occurred, it's here as a correction, and you have our commitment to continue to educate and re-educate as needed regarding the policy. I will offer in review of minutes of when this discussion was before the council. There were many variations. That there was a proposed recommendation, and then there was a variation on the recommendation from council. And because the discussion, I think, was very, very active, some of our staff walked away with the impression that Sacramento travel was approved specifically.
No.
And it wasn't, and it's something that we have internally revisited. That even if it is Sacramento, it's still
Right,
beyond it's something like 514 miles as opposed to 499.
All right.
But we do have that policy in place.
Right. The way it came to council originally, it was a recommendation for exceeding $1,500 out of state and over 500 miles to come to council. Council motioned at that time and took action to leave it at travel over 500 miles.
No, there's no motion needed. This is just acknowledging...
Is there a motion needed?
It's a motion to
It's a
acknowledge
motion.
the employee travel exceeding 500 miles.
And approve the
Acknowledge
same
mistake?
or whatever.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll provide that motion.
Yeah, and I
Second.
appreciate staff for coming up. It's not about pointing fingers, it's just about everybody being on the same page, so. We thank you for that, Ruby. And,
Thank you.
there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ruby. Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion direction regarding 2014-2015 budget workshops.
Mayor and council, this item was added at the request of council at our last scheduled meeting. What we are hoping for is to hear a little bit of feedback about the content that was presented, and then talk a little bit about what is scheduled for May 27th as content, unless you'd like maybe one more stopping point where we revisit, get feedback, and have the final presented on May 27th. If we follow last year as the model, we did a series of budget workshops, and then when it came time to final adoption, all of the funds are presented in a PowerPoint with highlights. So taking the most salient points for both of the workshops and the additional direction that was provided. And then assume that the worksheets are prepared and the presentation content reflects the proposed budget. If you feel like it's premature to get to that point on May 27th, it's my suggestion that maybe we add one more scheduled meeting into the mix.
I don't think we need to do that. I mean, most of the numbers and projects have been presented. We've discussed them, we've looked at them, and I think we just need to schedule the meeting unless there's something really blaring that.
There are some additional information requests that did come from council. I could theoretically highlight them in the presentation. I have gone and met with Conveyor Group as well as Spectrum. Conveyor, I talked about, what they're presenting will be various tiers of improvement to the website, and based on what that pricing is, I could build that cost into the budget. The same on Community Spectrum. There was a package put together. Part A was handed off to me in my initial meeting. It was for the video vignettes. That has a dollar value associated with it for 12 videos, but I also asked them to prepare a package that shows me a menu of other products that could be available from a marketing and branding point of view for the city. And then I've got a couple of other inquiries out. I know Councilmember Wharton asked for an analysis of the emergency repairs associated with Main Street related breaks, so that could be arranged as a comparative against replacement. So those are kind of the area, and then the customer service training, we have our initiative to package that in a fashion that's got resources associated with it. So those are kind of all of my action items.
Retail plan as well, we talked about that.
Well, I guess the question would be for the retail plan that was already prepared, what kind of takeoff is there?
Implementation and things like that. We'll further develop that idea a little bit. You know? Sixth, okay.
So what I was hoping for was feedback from the council relative to, are you ready to jump into the fire May 27th? Or do you want to maybe slow and do one more meeting so that we're sure we're on
If you could send us the information with respect to the request that we did have, as far as the dollar figures that we're looking at.
I think the meat and potatoes part of the budget, I think we've looked at the projects.
It's just sort of
the other
right ends.
My only question would be, Rosanna, just to kind of reverse it back on you, were there areas that we were not definitive, still gray, that you could use some more, direction from us? Because I think one of the issues that I came up with, it kind of ended, I'm not going to say abruptly, but there could have maybe been a little bit more discussion right toward the end. So I think even on issues, we covered the departments and public safety, et cetera. I just want to make sure that we collectively were clear on some of the direction of the workshop. Were there areas that are still left open or gray?
Always welcome the feedback, number one. Number two, and whenever it comes. But I guess the question will be, should I assume that since there were no objections expressed to content that was presented, that those are fair assumptions to proceed with? If that's the case, that's helpful for me to know. And then in addition to that, for those items that have additional dollar values that are theoretically assigned, and I don't know what those values are because I haven't gotten final numbers from the various vendors, I am going to have to reduce somewhere else. So that squeeze, wherever it occurs, I will highlight for you. If you don't tell me which are the areas you wish to have take on a lesser prioritization, I will make some judgment calls relative to that. I'm working under the assumption that your wish is for a balanced revenues and expenditures on the general fund end with some capital projects, and all the capital projects are ones you've already seen.
And can we also, if we don't come up, let's say we do it on the 27th and we have it, we plan to finish, but for whatever reason after the discussions that we're having, and if it doesn't work out, we can extend it.
It could just go to the next agenda.
Yes, we do have some internal reservation about that approach. It is only that historically the city's adopted in May the budget, and that the explanation that prior city managers have always furnished was that it's necessary for project financing or our continuing financial arrangements that are in place. I will offer that we could prep for you as an alternative a continuing resolution should it become an issue, and have that available as an alternative to you at the council meeting.
I don't know. I just think it's going to be a little bit hard getting another meeting in with people being gone on the 20th that week, because you guys are going to be gone that week, and I've got some things going on next week. But
I think most of it's worked out.
Most
I
of
mean,
it's
there are
worked out.
loose ends, but it's
There
not
are.
going to be huge
Just
dollar
highlight the
figures.
stuff
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe our discussion on the 27th is a loose end, right?
I don't have it from Conveyor. I'm waiting on it. And I only have video vignettes, the video vignette quote for Communities Spectrum. I don't have the other.
I'm thinking that most of it has been worked out. Maybe the 27th is the time when we clarify as many of the loose ends as we can. And they may be minor things like contribution to this organization or some other organization. And some of those are minor and some of those are more major. But if we can tie that up specifically in that discussion, it seems to me we may be able to make a decision then. However, if we can't make a decision that week, we could turn around and have a special meeting the next week and approve the budget. I mean, I don't really see that as being necessarily
She's saying that the 30th is.
unable to do. But that's not a drop. That's not a date that's set in stone either. We'd like to have it done by then, but if it didn't get done by then, I don't think anything happens to us. It just has to be. We could do a continuing resolution as the federal government does, and then we could go into June and we could decide what we're going to do. But that's what continuing resolution.
Our finance director may birth by then, so.
Oh, that's true.
We really do want to get our budget adopted in June, no later than
So
June.
do we have a problem for next Tuesday? I mean, Don, are you busy next Tuesday? I mean, if we wanted to get together on,
The 21st?
no,
No,
it's the 13th.
I can't. get
I
together.
probably can't make it on the 13th.
I can't make it on the 13th.
If all of you have confidence in the content that's been shared with you so far, I'm comfortable proceeding. I just want to be sure I'm not out of sync with the wishes and priorities of the council. So,
We should be fine, I think.
with regard to the presentation, would you like me to present all major items and combine the last two presentations, or do you want me to highlight the items that you requested I spend additional time going and seeking out and further developing?
That's what I think we're all saying, right?
I think it's the
Focused on
highlight
it.
issues. I don't want to
Bigger
go.
picture's already.
We've already discussed that.
Okay.
I don't want to go over the whole thing. Just highlight what we haven't decided and
Okay.
what we have.
You got
Any new information, then we'll move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. It's very helpful.
Okay, so is there a motion to give staff direction just to highlight the areas that we really hadn't decided on the 2014-15 budget? We will concentrate on those at the next meeting, which is scheduled for May the 27th.
But I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but you'll get that information sooner than
Yes, hopefully,
as
yeah.
soon as possible.
Right.
So
You
moved.
guys are going to be good.
Okay, there's a
move and second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next item on the agenda is departmental reports, monthly staffing report. Mrs. Benias?
Honorable Mayor, council members, Shirley Benias, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. If you will please direct your attention to the monthly staffing report. We have 2 officers going to be sworn in on May 13th. These are our newest police officers.
Really new. Peace officer.
Sounds good.
At 9 a.m., if you would like to join us here at the council chambers, we'll be swearing those 2 folks in with an introduction to council at the open meeting. We're looking at June 3rd. One struggle that personnel is having is replacing a former supervisor position that is now called a chief water treatment plant operator. Recruitment yielded only 2 candidates, and neither candidate met the qualifications needed. So current discussions with the city manager and the public works director is ongoing. We are asking for an increased certification, and with that might be an increased pay scale. So we're discussing, and hopefully we'll come up with a solution in the near future so we can reopen that position. So if you happen to see it reopen, that is why. And we're currently recruiting for our fun part of the year, the summer day camp positions, complete with lifeguards. I think I have about 5 lifeguard applications and seeking a whole lot more. Any questions from the council?
None? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, our Public Works Director is available for any questions. If you need any more info than has already been distributed about our streets projects, I'm sure you've seen all of the next phase rollout. You've seen Pano reopen, and the ADA ramp work has already begun at the north northeast corner of Wildcat and Highway 86. We will have a pano change order come to you in the month of June, and that will be our final change order that we process for the change order number 2. It'll take in the ADA ramp.
You didn't want to come up, huh?
She's welcome to.
Celebrate.
Have you had a
Come
Whopper yet?
on. You did a great job.
I'm getting cold. I didn't bring any pictures tonight. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. In addition to the information provided tonight, we're having the reconstruction of some locations throughout the month. We finalized the slurry sealing of all the Phase 9 streets, and we're also, after the reconstruction of the patches, the cold mix patches, we're also going to be striping, and that would finalize Phase 9. We're also finalizing streets Phase 9, hopefully this month, in-house.
Phase 10?
Phase 10, I'm sorry, yes. Thank you.
Looking good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Everything's looking nice. Everybody's happy and,
Thank you. Thank you.
Smooth ride.
Yeah, and I can also provide an update at the airport. The airport moved into Phase 2, so it's moving along.
You had your Whopper?
Yes, I did. Super good.
Great. Good job.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last item listed on the agenda is just an information item. Mr. Soto was not able to join us this evening, but his record of building permits is provided to you for your information for an activity.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the City Council member reports, and I'll start with Mrs. Noriega.
Okay, as I mentioned, today I went to the Veterans Appreciation Luncheon in Imperial. And then also on Friday at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., they are having another Veterans Benefit Resource Fair. It's at the same place at the Imperial Veterans Memorial Hall. And it's, they'll have all kinds of different fair stuff there. I'm not sure... I will pass this around, and Alma can put it on the calendar also. And then I also got to go along with Rosanna and Dawn to the regional conference for the Southern California Association of Governments. I got to spend the night. They had to drive home that day because they had to come back to the grand opening of the Whoppers.
The Whopper.
The Whoppers. Anyway, I'd like to thank the council for allowing me to get my classes in to study all the water, the transportation. They had a lot of, the talk was about technology and transportation, about these driverless cars, alternative fuel vehicles, car sharing programs, and other technology modernizing the way that we travel. Things will be changing. Also about the waterfront to the storefront, that you go from 30 minutes or less. It's a new supply chain technology, rapidly changing how quickly goods are being moved from the ports to the shelves of stores. We're going to have the president for Skaggs will be our council member Cheryl Walker next year, so it's going to be really dynamite, and I'm just want to let you guys know that I'm going to that one also. You're welcome to go too, but I'm putting my first bid in for that. It was great to meet lots of other councilmen and councilwomen there. We exchanged a lot of cards and a lot of ideas. So if I come along and I have an idea or something, I got it from others. So we're sharing, and hopefully by the end of next year we'll be able to share our arts on downtown Maine. So that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Albeit for me, the last couple of weeks have been very busy outside of city business. it seems like everything I have participated in has involved the win lately. So I did not just attend and was a willing and active participant in the more of a regional event, but the score race, the Score 250. And I do want to still highlight that, kind of give you a little after-action report. Despite the 40-mile-an-hour winds, I am absolutely always impressed with how many race fans and diehards we have in Imperial County. Many of which who live right here, and many of the participants and the racers that race teams that actually came from Brawley as well. But I think it was considered a very successful event by all measures. My understanding is the plan for a potential for another one this fall. And that was what we were hoping for. Again, just one more feature, one more attraction to Imperial County. And certainly, I think something that's welcomed by all of our business community, not just with the city, but obviously regionally. So it was a lot of fun, other than the fact that I had the pleasure of flying around in 40-mile-an-hour wind. Outside of that, just a couple of small things. I do appreciate some of the presentations today, in particular with NOCA. The longer we get to serve on this council, the more we get to learn about the dedicated organizations out there that are doing great stuff. So for me, I did get to spend some quality one-on-one time with Rosemary and really understand the work that this organization's doing. So again, between that and having an opportunity to meet with some more of our businesses, some of which I won't share specifically tonight, but I think our Mayor Pro Tem Nava mentioned a little bit earlier, it's amazing what one event such as putting a new face on the theater touched off another business, and my understanding there's more coming. So our excitement, our enthusiasm doesn't just lie with just what's ahead of us right now. It's really what we're not even talking about that's heading our way downtown. So I want to commend the council, actually, ultimately on that. I think it's our focus, our staff. Rosanna, we're not just saying it. I think we're walking the talk. And we're starting to see these results. So I think we're going to turn the corner here soon. So thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Okay. I attended the chamber board meeting, as I do once a month, and it's usually an exciting meeting, and I give a report on city business, and it's early in the morning, but
7 a.m.?
it's a great, 7 a.m. It's a great meeting. And then I went to St. Mary's Church Luau at the Hidalgo Society this weekend. That was a nice event. I think it was Friday. No.
It was Friday.
Friday, okay.
Yes, I went.
So I went there on Friday. Helen was also there, and George.
Yes.
Also in attendance, and so we all went there, just supporting the church, and I think it's funds that they raised for support of the church activities and some of the things that they do out there. And then I went to the IVC ribbon cutting for their new vocational facilities, and for those of you that haven't seen those are quite remarkable. They have a large area for public safety training, EMTs, police, fire, etc. They also have a facility for other vocational, such as renewable energy, alternative energies, HVAC, and a variety of other vocational careers that the students can get into. And so they're very nicely done. They will, I think, encourage learning in that facility. I think they'll be there a long time. They certainly are improvement over what they've had in the past, because I went there many years ago. I won't say how many. And so they've made quite some improvements, and I think it actually facilitates learning in that facility. When the students have a good location to do that in, they do better. And so I think that'll work out really well. A lot of people in attendance. Our city manager was recognized for her effort on the part of the Measure D, was it, that allowed them to go ahead and construct those facilities. And so she was mentioned there, and we were all introduced, and it was a great time. And then I also attended the Burger King ribbon cutting. I had already eaten there on the evening that they opened, due to the fact that I have my 10-year-old grandson said it was open. I told him it wasn't. He said it was. He said they talk about those things at school.
Yeah.
So, and then,
he knew more than you did,
yeah,
right,
he
Sam?
knew more than I knew, because I'd gone by in the morning and it wasn't open. I go by and he says, "Oh, they're open. I know they're open." So we had to go take everybody over there and go for dinner. And then I went back for the ribbon cutting. Nice ribbon cutting. I think everyone was pretty much in attendance, and it really actually worked out really well. And I think that's going to be a nice addition to that area. It's good for the Walmart corridor, and I think it's good for the city of Brawley. Some people downplay fast food. I look at any business that looks good and is doing well as a positive for the city. So I look at jobs and I look at other things also. But it gives us other options, and I think that's a good thing. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. Nava?
Just want to say hello and thank you all for your help and support. And I was able to attend check signing with State Senator Ben Wesso and Assembly Member Manuel Perez. It was a earthquake detection system that was implemented here in the county. I think it's interesting the way it operates. So some of you were in attendance, and I think that was a little surprising. So I'm glad to see that it's functional and it's operational. So glad to see that. Also attended swearing in of our firefighter that was here earlier, and they did a swearing in and a pinning ceremony for him. It was very brief, but it's very important for not only him, but for his family and his friends and his colleagues, and I think we need to highlight, and I want to thank the Desert Review for highlighting that event as well. And but it's important for people to recognize what's happening within the city and whenever we have additions to our staff. In particular, firefighters typically don't leave after a few years like police officers. We do have a lot of turnover through our police department, but not necessarily the fire department. And a lot of them are locals. And so I think that's important to recognize. And of course, we're working on that in the police department as well. And so I'm happy to see that. The same goes for the police department. We need to recognize our officers. We had a ceremony recently with an addition of an officer, and his entire family was here. So it's a big deal for people. I think we need to recognize that. I think it's very important. Even if council can't make it, they have a lot of support within their department. So I think it's nice to see. I did attend the Burger King ribbon cutting. I thought that was nice to see a new business go in. It's something that's been in the works for about 5 years now. And I know that we talked to Burger King last year when we were in Las Vegas at the retail convention, and some things were still being ironed out at the end there. And it's nice to see it open and operational. I think Councilmember Couchman, you had mentioned that you'd been there. I went there the same day when it first opened, and I was disappointed that the playground wasn't open yet. But
you weren't half as disappointed as my granddaughter was, and she cried and cried.
Right. But I think it's operational now, right? So
yes, I think so.
But I also I would mention to the council that the other day when we made a decision based on participating in a regional plan for local transportation, the dial ride service, Ms. Pacheco was in attendance. She's a current provider for the city of Brawley. She didn't speak up that day, but she called me soon thereafter. I did inform her that if she had questions or concerns that she should attend the ICTC meeting. I attended ICTC on behalf of the City Council, and she did speak before the ICTC Commission, and she expressed some of her concerns that she'd shared with me over the telephone, but ultimately at this point she's not involved in the final selection. They didn't submit a proposal. So she's not involved in the final selection. If, however, we all agreed to participate in the plan, if some other city doesn't agree to participate, it likely will need to be revisited anyway. So there may be an opportunity for her to participate in the future. So I did give her that bit of information, and I told her I'd follow up with her before a final decision is made. So I plan on reaching out to her in the next week or so. So those are the things that I participated in over the past couple of weeks or past week or so. And I do have some meetings lined up. I think Councilmember Couchman and I, we have a meeting tomorrow, and I also have a meeting with Councilmember Wharton with some other businesses and entities. So anyway, that's my long and boring story.
Thank you, sir. I also attended the SCAG General session along with our city manager and with Ms. Noriega, and there was several very interesting conferences, and Helen mentioned the one with the transportation, the car to go. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing how people come up with ideas in the bigger cities where you have just what I call congestion in traffic.
Yeah.
And basically what it is just small electric vehicles located all throughout the city. And you have to qualify and register, and they just give you a swipe card. If the car is there, it's available to you, you swipe it, you get in it, you go, you get to your destination, you get out and leave the car. somebody at that destination needed, they swipe the card, and it charges you through that card. And
They do that here without.
well, I thought about that.
It's not a to-go car, though.
Yeah, I thought about that. When all your cars end up somewhere else. But it works, and it is real big in the cities, and people literally, you hear people testifying about getting rid of their second vehicle because they're able to use that type transportation. But it was a good conference, and another very interesting conference was healthy eating, and to listen to city managers and different businesses, for example, like a hospital, get up and talk about how they sustain a better price for food by buying all their food and vegetables from a local grower right there in the city. Can you imagine one hospital buying all of their vegetables and stuff from a local grower, and they just kind of move it around within that area? So they kind of support one another. And they talked about that. The Burger King ribbon cutting was interesting. I like the other guy said, my grandson told me he had went and got some nuggets the night before, and I said, ain't no way. We're doing the ribbon cutting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not open.
But he did. He had nuggets the night before. The earthquake notification system that Manny Perez and Ben Wessel, it was a $187,000 check that was given to the County of Imperial to help implement that. And it's kind of interesting to see what happens. They kind of give George and I a kind of sample what happens when that thing is activated. It basically closes doors, shuts off gas lines, shut off power, and things of that nature instantly without you even having to do it. So it's pretty cool. I did participate. Well, I did attend some of the Cinco de Mayo activities over at Hidalgo, and as every year, that is a lot of. They do a lot of things: softball tournaments, food. They do a parade for the Queen, and it was a little bit warm and a little windy, but it was. It was okay. We had a good time. Other than that, been traveling. The SCAG event, the city of Brawley and the city of El Centro was given an award for sustainable programs to do with our transit and El Centro's transit. And I guess we kind of decided that this would go to ICTC by it being a shared award. We would let ICTC keep it, but we wanted to bring it, and Helen mentioned, said, you need to bring that to the meeting so they can see it. But it was the city was awarded that for our transit station here by it being one of the better projects in the state.
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think it's important to recognize our planning department and El Centro's planning department because they are the ones that put the application together to submit to ICTC, and they submitted it on our behalf. So,
and I can tell you, both of those projects were struggle. Ours with the buried tanks, and I think El Centro had a lot of traffic. The way that where that was at by Figueroa's Auto and the businesses and stuff, but. Yep. Gordon, you guys did a nice job, and it was well attended. There was a lot of folks from the valley there up at Indian Wells on last Thursday to accept the award, so it was good. I want to thank everybody for all their hard work, and I just ask that God continue to bless you guys and your families. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I did want to just offer one more. Again, I want to thank Lloyd for his participation in helping us cover events, and Christopher in the back there, Christopher Ferguson, who's also at the Burger King grand opening. And sometimes I fail to mention names, but I did want to point out to you that it's very important that you cover these events, and I thank you very much. So thank you. And Ivy Press, of course, is always out at our events and covering the different things that happen. So again, thank you.
I guess I should mention that in Burger King in the game room they have those computers and Wi-Fi, and I told that guy, I said, dude, you're gonna have kids climbing all over the walls in here. They're able to get and play those computers and play somebody else in their house somewhere else, and technology is crazy. Mm-hmm. I said, you're gonna have kids climbing all over this place, and it's all air conditioned too, right. So it's not just outside. So
I'll never leave.
Nice.
It's really tall.
Yep. Okay, city manager report.
Not only was Brawley the proud recipient of an award at the SCAG conference this year, but we also are the recipients of an award of merit bestowed upon us by the American Society of Civil Engineers. It was delivered to the city over the weekend, and it's for urban design and beautification associated with the Brawley Transit Transfer Station. And it was presented to both SOMAS, our design engineer, and the city of Brawley. So we're really pleased to share that with you today. It's also noted that a third award is being given to our transit station. In Sacramento, a little later this month, Mayor Campbell will be present to receive that award being given by the California Transportation Foundation. We've got a wonderful project right here in Brawley city limits, and part of the attraction is not only the built facility, but the expansion of the stops within our city limits with the launch of the Gold Line. So we have a lot to be proud of, and again, want to thank staff for their efforts to bring that forward, and your leadership to have the vision to bring it to downtown specifically.
Yes. Do you have any idea how many passengers we're getting on the Gold Line?
We have a presentation we've requested from ICTC. They agreed when we launched that after about a quarter of the service line being in place, that they would come back to us for a report. Our hope is in the month of June, one of those two council meetings, the statistics will be presented to the council.
Okay, thank you.
After a year, they would reevaluate the stops to see if they can make adjustments if they're working or not. So they're going to give it some time to work.
Could they add more?
Sure,
okay.
That can be a consideration. And remove some if they're not necessarily used. Yeah.
Also wanted to note, we've received many compliments about the Highway 86 corridor, and also we have revisited a number of code enforcement issues in that specific area between Legion and I would say just beyond Malin. So we'll continue to focus. We've got lots of letters out relative to weed abatement needs in that area. We have much to highlight with the positive development that's occurring, and look forward to gaining the cooperation of property owners in the area. Lastly, wanted to note that if you observe some activity on the Western Avenue side of our Public Works yard, a monitoring well is in the process of being removed. It's no longer necessary. It's tied to the property that's immediately to the north, so the 7-Eleven property. And those wells were established that well was established some years ago within our property. And so the obligation of the private party is to remove the monitoring well and restore it to its original state. So if you see the activity going on there, that's what it is. And with that, that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item is the city treasurer's report. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. The attorney? The clerk? And the next item on the agenda is number 12, and it says closed session.
There are no items this evening.
We're going to sing Kumbaya and go home.
I'm not going to sing. Well, you can go.
Wow,